Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never go hungry, and he who believes in me will never be thirsty. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, yet shall they live, and whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. I died, and behold, I am alive forevermore, and I hold the keys of hell and death. By dying, Christ destroyed death. By rising from the dead, Christ restores our life, and Christ shall come again in glory. We come here together today to remember the life of Marilyn and Carol Gunderson. Marilyn was born on June 13, 1930, to Lillian and Paul Thayer in Los Angeles, California. Marilyn grew up with sisters Catherine and Priscilla, now deceased, and Barbara, Sharon, Joni, and Muriel, and one brother, Paul. She grew up going to Church of the Open Door when it was in Los Angeles with J. Vernon McGee, one of my favorite Bible radio personalities, as one of her pastors. Marilyn married Jerry Gunderson on June 9, 1951, at the age of 21. Marilyn was a homemaker for 68 years. Marilyn loved being a pastor's wife and serving in ministry alongside Jerry. She taught Sunday school for many years. She and Jerry had 4 children, daughters Cheryl and Sharon, and sons David and Gary. She had 11 grandchildren, 17 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. And Marilyn recently went to be with the Lord on July 4th of this year in Azusa, California, at the age of 89. So that's her life in miniature. We now spend some time reflecting on what that life was all about. So Kim, why don't you come and share with us in prayer? Kim is Marilyn's brother.
Thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for always being there with us by the power of the Holy Spirit, and that you are with all the family members and the friends today. We pray for all those that are grieving right now. We just pray that the Holy Spirit will put their arms around them and to comfort them and be with them and give them peace, which God will always do for all of us. We're glad now that Marilyn is with Jesus and Jerry. When we went to see Marilyn many times, she would, at the near end of her life, she would say, I want to be with Jesus and Jerry. And finally, God gave her her wish according to his will and according to his loving care. We're glad that Marilyn and Jerry are now together, and they're probably dancing and flicking their heels and dancing in the streets of gold. In 2 Corinthians 8, verse 5, it says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And that's just an honor for all of us, for those that know Jesus Christ. And we just pray for all of you that someday you will all know him as your Lord and Savior. And we ask for a special blessing for Marilyn's 2 sons, what Neil had said earlier. And we just want to thank them and for what they did for Marilyn all those years, because they were instrumental in taking care of her when even in her last days when she had, I don't know, I guess with Alzheimer's or dementia. And so we just pray for that. And also I'd like to also recognize and bless Marilyn's siblings. She has 3 sisters and a brother that are here today. Thank you, Father, for your love, your mercy, and your grace, all that you've done for us. We're so blessed to have you as our Lord and Savior. So we just thank you for all of those blessings. And we just love you so much in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Now, Pastor Jerry was here. He would probably lead you in this hymn. My job is merely to introduce the hymn that you will all sing. So, in the hymnals in front of you, number 465, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, and we're going to be singing the first and second stanzas.
Marilyn Gunderson's granddaughter. So to start off, there are so many wonderful things and so many wonderful memories that I can reflect on. I'd be here all night if I were to talk about all of them. So I'm just going to focus on a few of them that really highlight who Marilyn was and who my grandmother was to me over the last 31 years. So growing up, I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time at my grandparents' house. I loved spending the night there because both my grandparents, they spoiled me rotten. I remember Grandma letting me have as much Rocky Road ice cream as I wanted, topped with as much Hershey's chocolate syrup as I wanted, and a nice big glass of chocolate milk to wash it all down. And then later for dessert, we would have the chocolate chip cookies she kept on top of her refrigerator. Those same cookies I used to sneak after she went to bed at night. My grandma would be asleep on the couch. But don't get me wrong, she indulged in all these things too, because she definitely had a sweet tooth. But the best memories that I had with my grandma were after my grandpa Jerry passed away. As sad of a time as that was, that's when we became closer than ever. I ended up moving in with my grandma after my grandpa had passed away, and I did that to kind of look after her, to keep her company as her dementia was progressing. And looking back now, I am so incredibly grateful that I took that opportunity. So when I first moved in, I was working as a server at a restaurant, so most nights I wouldn't get home until 12, 1, or 2 in the morning. I would always try to sneak in the house as quietly as I could so I wouldn't wake her up, but that never worked because I always woke her up. Maybe it was the dog or maybe it was the alarm chiming when I would step inside. But the first thing she would always ask is, "Brittany, is that you?" And then our conversation would continue. "Yes, Grandma, it's me. I'm so sorry that I woke you up. Oh no, honey, you didn't wake me up. I was already awake, which I knew she wasn't. I think she was just being nice. And then she would go on, how was work? Did you make a lot of money in tips? And then I would answer her, and then she would continue, I'm so happy you're home. I missed you so much. We would then talk about our night, how things went, and then what she ended up doing that night while I was gone. And we would always end our conversations with her saying, well, I love you, honey. Get a good night's sleep. I'll talk to you in the morning. At the time, these conversations seemed insignificant, but now that I look back, it shows me how much my grandma loved and cared about me. She didn't have to wake up or say anything when I would come home. She knew it was me, but she did. We would have full-on conversations that would last 10 to 15 minutes, all of this at midnight or later. I miss those conversations, and I won't ever forget them. Friday nights were also my favorite. Those were the nights we would go to my parents' house and we'd stuff our face with pizza and cookies. Grandma loved us so much. She was always ready to go at least an hour before we were supposed to leave, which I thought was really cute. My grandma also had a sense of humor. So for those of you that knew my grandma well, you knew that she adored her dog Freckles. Well, most of the time. So she adored him so much, she would give Freckles the food on her plate, literally. Cookies, lunch meat, chips, crackers, cereal, sometimes even ice cream. She also spoiled him with many, many treats throughout the day. But anyways, on one particular day, we had just finished lunch together, and she decided to give Freckles a cookie. I took the cookie away from Freckles before he could eat it, and I quickly told my grandma, Grandma, you can't give Freckles cookies. It's bad for him. He's going to get fat. She then proceeded to tell me that they weren't cookies, they were dog treats. But because of her dementia, a lot of times she would get confused about, the ordinary things. And I'd never seen her give Freckles these types of treats before. I think that week, my cousin Renee used to go shopping for her. She would buy different dog treats, but I didn't believe her because the cookies had like a fruit topping on them. So we argued about this back and forth for a few minutes, and then I insisted, Grandma, they are not dog treats. Trust me, eat one. I promise you. So I guess this is what convinced her because she took a big bite out of that cookie. She spit it out at me with this look of terrible disgust. It was a dog treat. I felt horrible because she had to wash out her mouth with food and water, and then she ended up having to brush her teeth with like a lot of toothpaste to get that flavor out of her mouth. Thankfully, she was not mad at all. Like, we had a really good laugh about it, and for the next 2 years, we would still reflect on that. And it's more funny than it is sad to me now. But as her dementia got worse, it came time for the family to hire a full-time caretaker to give her the care that she needed. I ended up living with my grandma for 2 years after this, or before this. Now, it was not always easy. Yes, we did have wonderful memories, but there were also difficult ones as well. I witnessed firsthand the horrors of dementia, and I saw my grandma's mind slowly taken away from this horrible disease. After I moved out, I continued to visit, not as often as I wanted, but as often as I could. The last few months, my mom and I would go visit her every Tuesday. Some days were better than others. She usually recognized us as soon as we walked in the door, and she was so happy to see us. She would go on and on about how much she loved her family and how she raised 4 kids. Knowing my mom, Cheryl, Gary, and David, this must have been chaos, but I think she did a pretty good job. When I had my son, Jet, I brought him over to meet her, and she put her hands over her face, and she literally cried in her hands. She would say, "This is your baby? This is your baby? God has blessed me so much to have another grandbaby. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I just love him so much." Family was one of the most important things to my grandma. She would also talk about her memories growing up and her 5 sisters and 1 brother. This was always the main topic of her conversation. She was proud of the family she came from and the family she created. When our visits would end, she would always tell us not to go. She would get really sad. The last words I said to my grandma when she was conscious were, "I love you, Grandma. I'll be back later. I promise." And she said, "You promise?" My grandma was 89 years old when she passed away. Yes, today is a sad day, but it is also a day of celebration because my grandma lived a long and wonderful life. She's now in heaven. She has a new body and a new mind. Best of all, she's with my grandpa again. She and my grandpa created this big, beautiful family that I'm so privileged to be a part of. She modeled love and patience consistently, and believe me, with all her kids and even her grandkids, this was a big deal. So thank you, Grandma, for pouring so much love into all of us. Thank you for your example of what a Proverbs 31 wife looks like. You are so important to me and to all of us. I love you so much, and I'm going to miss you and our midnight conversations.
Well, I'd like to start by saying that I'm grateful today. You might ask, what am I grateful for? I think most of us have been to many of these celebration of life services, and some of the things you consistently will see and hear there, you can't blame the families for it. You get where they're coming from, but there can be generalized exaggerating. There's some puffing up maybe of the person who's passed. Sometimes it can get a little awkward, but not with Grandma. Everything you hear today on this stage and the reception afterwards, all of it's true. Grandma lived a life that would make all of us proud. Our pastor, Greg Laurie, said some things recently that made me think about Grandma. One of them is, did you know there's actually 5 Gospels? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and the Christian. Most people don't read the first 4. Another way of putting it is that I might be, and you might be, the only Bible some people ever read. What's it going to say? And with Grandma, I think we all know exactly what it said. In fact, I think it's been 15 minutes and I've already heard Proverbs 31 3 times. That's what she would say. And leading to that, I don't know if there's more of a Proverbs 31 woman that I've ever met. Probably is the case for most of us. And that leads me to a word that is really overused, I think, in modern culture. It's kind of a cliche. Legacy. I think culture says everybody has a legacy, and I guess maybe they do. Some are good, some are bad, but it's pretty rare to have a truly great one. And Grandma has one, and that's awesome. Part of that, right off the bat, to show how important it is who she was married to. He left a legacy. We can all relate. I think Grandpa's been gone almost 7 years now, and all of us here would acknowledge he still positively affects us in our lives. If you're going through a challenge or something's going on, you might say, what would Grandpa say? What would he do? How would he help me? And Grandma's going to have the same exact thing. You know, Grandma, there's going to be lots of adjectives to describe her today. She was patient, she was kind, all these things. Humble is another one that comes to mind. That's one part of her. The other part of her that I don't know if everybody knows about is all the things that made her. She was immensely intelligent and smart. She was the firstborn of 7 kids. She raised 4 kids, which I can relate right now is an honor of a life. Lisa too, and Jill. But it's exhausting. It's a wonderful privilege. She's a cancer survivor. But again, she also was so sharp. She had such a great sense of things. And when you look at her 4 kids and the way they think, their business acumen, the way they are with numbers, I know where they got that from. And now it's passing on to some of her grandkids. My dad once told me a story that I love with Grandma. I don't know how old the kids were or which of the 2 kids it was, but when they were younger, they were in the back of a car with Grandma, and she was in the front seat. They pulled over for some reason, and here she is being mom, but at the same time, she had a yellow legal pad out, and by hand, she was doing accounting for her various businesses. And she had 64 accounts going on at one time. She was the #1 saleswoman in her local Tupperware business. She lived a life to be proud of. And I think, in closing, Grandma would love the fact that we're all up here and talking about her legacy and the things that she did. But in the end, I think the thing she wanted all of us to leave here today thinking about is what was most important to her. We've all met that person that walks in a room and you're around for a little while and you just say, what's different about that person? There's an energy, there's something there. And the answer's simple, it's Jesus. And that's what she would want in life. And going forward, like Grandpa, us to all think about. And I think she would want us to ask the question, unless Jesus comes back first, every single one of us will be gone one day. And then there's going to be someone like me up on a stage like this. And they're going to have to say something. They can't just stand up here in awkward silence. So the question, I guess, is what are they going to say? Are they going to have to inflate me? Are they going to have to exaggerate you? Or will they be here on that day looking at me and looking at you the way we're looking at her? I choose that. I choose what Grandma had. And I would just close in saying, Grandma, Marilyn, Gunderson, thank you that we don't have to inflate you at all today. We don't have to exaggerate you because you really were that great. And every single one of us are better and stronger as parents, as spouses, as friends, and as Christians because we knew you. I love you.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Tilley. I've known Marilyn for over 40 years, mainly from the Lamp House group. My connection to the Gunderson family is my daughter Cheryl is married to Marilyn's son David. And Marilyn was her mother. And she'll always be her mom. Marilyn Gunderson is true. A godly woman. There's a beautiful song, some of you may have heard it. It's called, I Can Only Imagine. And I thought of Marilyn when I read the lyrics. The opening lines are, I can only imagine what heaven is like. I can only imagine what my eyes will see. Marilyn faced many, many health problems. But now I can only imagine Marilyn not confined to a wheelchair, but standing before the Lord with a sound mind saying, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. Marilyn is now in heaven. Not because she was a good woman, though she was. Not because she went to church, and she did. Not because she read her Bible, though she did. Not because she taught Sunday school, though she did. And not because she was a caring, compassionate woman, though she was. I can only imagine Marilyn's message to each one of us here today. I can only imagine her saying to each of us, I am in heaven because I have accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. And that's the only way you will get to heaven. I can only imagine Marilyn rejoicing with her beloved husband, Jerry. I can only imagine what heaven will be like for Marilyn. I can only imagine what beautiful things her eyes are seeing now. Isaiah 55:9, God says, as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my thoughts higher than your thoughts. Therefore, I can only imagine. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Cheryl, the oldest daughter, probably the honorariest of all. But we rejoice in the fact that my mom is free of pain. David and I were there that night, and Sharon and Cheryl were on FaceTime, and we sang her to heaven, and we quoted scriptures. It was so peaceful. I know my mom is free now, because she's with Jesus. And the first thing I can hear my dad say is, Marilyn, what took you so long? Bible says, absent from the body, present with the Lord. And if we're believers in Christ Jesus, Mom went from death into everlasting life. And I will see both of my parents again. And I really want to thank my husband, Craig. He was so faithful to both my parents. They were like his own. Craig would take her to church every Sunday. He would take her to lunch. He did all the repairs around the house. And he never complained. And I had a few times I complained. And Mom would always say, Craig, you remind me so much of Dad. You're always so caring. You're always so helpful. And even after Dad went to heaven, Craig would still drive her up to Saddle Valley, her favorite spot in the motorhome, and we would spend a couple weeks together. We'd have our meals together. We would walk together and just spend time together. And she went on several cruises with us, too. And her and her siblings had so much fun. They got into a little trouble, but they always had fun. But Mom was so appreciative of everything we did for her. She would say how much she loved us all. She would always say thank you, and she always would say, I have the best family, and she did. Our family really comes together. And things I love about my mom, the memories, never mess with Mom, only Dad, and that is so true. Mom meant what she said. She didn't have to yell at us, we just knew. Mom had a gentle spirit, but bold with love. Our home was a house of God. Mom lived for the Lord, and everything she did just came. I always have called her, as Ryan and so many said, my Proverbs 31 mom. Truly she was. So many mornings she would rise early with my dad, make his breakfast. I remember morning after morning she'd get up with my brothers and their paper route. She'd make them breakfast. She was just there. She never complained. She just did it. And when I'd go visit my mother, she would want me just to sit with her. Her love language was quality time. She didn't, and I have a hard time sitting still, and I had to force myself just to be still because she just wanted to be with each of us. And it was hard that her mind was starting to go, and she just still had a great personality. And just about 2 months ago, I have a video. Mom was singing at the top of her lungs, and when she's done, she looks into the camera and she goes, you didn't know I could sing. And then she looks, I can't. I mean, her personality really shone through even to the end. And on Sunday, June the 30th, when I was over there visiting with her, her mind was so clear. I sat with her for an hour and a half, and she said, Cheryl, I just want to go home. And I said, Mom, you are home. And she says, I want to go to my heavenly home. And Mom would say that a lot the last year and a half or two. She says, I miss Jerry so much. He has a place for me. I just want to go to heaven. So she was really ready to go. And one thing I've been asked is, what is the worst thing you can think about that your mother ever did to you? And the one thing that I've never forgotten, I was about 6. I always had very long hair, and my dad loved my hair. I don't remember the cut, but when I got home, my dad walks out the front door and he says, Marilyn, what did you do? He had cut my hair into a pixie. We were both so mad at her, but who could really stay mad at my mom? But if that's the worst thing, I'm very blessed. And we thank the Lord for all his blessings to us and all the precious memories of my mom. And yes, my life is going to have a big void. I spent a lot of time with her. We did so much together. But I am choosing to dwell on the good memories, and she is truly alive in heaven. And the verse that comes to mind about my mom is Micah 6:8. And I'm going to use the woman instead of the man. And the verse says, but he has shown me, O woman, what is good. What does the Lord require of me? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And truly, she was humble, and she walked with her God daily.
Hi, David, Marilyn's son, and I want to first thank all of you for coming here today. My mother was perhaps the most joy-filled, happy person that anyone in the room here ever knew. And what I'd like to do is say that my mom probably held the key to dealing with anxieties and challenges in life because of the joy that she had. And hopefully, you can walk away today with some takeaways on how to deal with your challenges and to find happiness. Many of you are experiencing a wide range of emotions. For some of you, it's celebration. For some of you, it's mourning. For some of you, it's relief. For some of you, it's supporting the family and friends. It's okay to have those emotions. When Lazarus died, Jesus wept. He wept. And in looking into this, he may not have wept because Lazarus passed away. He wept for the bereaved. And so whatever we're experiencing here, it's fine. I just shared the following story at one of our team meetings. If I had 20 helium balloons all filled with the same amount of helium, and they all had a string attached to them, the string was the same length and weight, and I went outside and I released all of those balloons, some would fly high and some would get caught up in the trees. Some would go sideways. My mom's balloon tended to fly really high. It just did. And I got to tell you, over the last few weeks, I've had such a great peace. My mom's passing, I can't explain the peace I've had. My balloon is flying high as it relates to this. My emotion is peace right now. Now, I do live down by the beach, and it's possible that a high-flying seagull will pop my balloon. But the good news is you'll be there to catch me, and I know why I have such peace. There's just no question about it. It's all of the prayers for our family, all of the people that have been praying for me. And I kind of hope my balloon does get popped, because I know you'll be there to catch me with your prayers. It's remarkable, the power of prayer. And my mom, well, she was a prayer warrior, and you're following in her steps. And she had such great joy in life. She was so fulfilled, I think in part, because of the prayer. I am so fortunate to be surrounded by so many great leaders. Some of them are in the room here today. I've been fortunate to read books about great leaders, and typically it comes down to two things when you're around a great leader. They're remarkably humble, and they have tremendous resolve. They just do. And Christ was the ultimate leader. He was tremendously humble, had great resolve. My mom might have been number 2 after Christ. Her humility, amazing. She had so much to brag about. She was proud, but she had so much to be proud of. I'd like to challenge those here today that knew my mom to think of one single time where she bragged. I don't think you can. She was remarkably humble. When it came to resolve, for those of you that knew her, try to think of one thing she said that she didn't act on. She got it done. My sister just talked about it. She just did. She got it done. And she was so reliable. So her humility and resolve made her a great leader. It really did. So now for a few stories. Very brief stories. And I'm going to speak on behalf of my sister Sharon and on behalf of my brother Gary. And I'll share a few of my own. Gary shared some great things with me about my mother. He first said that Mom always thought I was the best looking and was the favorite child. The truth is, my mom made us all feel like we were the best looking and the favorite child. But Gary also said some other things that struck me that I hadn't thought about. That Mom taught us the value of hard work and the value of a dollar. Yeah, she did. The value of hard work and the value of a dollar. Gary also said, and this is so true, with the 4 kids, we were involved in a lot of sporting teams, school events, church events. Whenever we came home, there was a hot meal waiting for us. Our family would eat together, we camped together, we went to church together, we prayed together. But there was a hot meal when we got home. Mom tended to defend us, especially Gary, and some of the times she defended us, I don't know that she should have. About Gary shared the story, and I do remember this one, where the neighbors found fish heads in their pool. Yeah, and Mom defended Gary, even though Gary hadn't gone fishing that day and brought fish home. So she defended us just consistently. We appreciate that. Gary's wife Dottie said that over a 40-year-plus period, and I don't know who else can claim this, she cannot remember, nor can I, other than when my mom entered into dementia, one single time where she used a swear word or raised her voice. That's a remarkable Proverbs 31:1. Dottie also shared how kind and sweet she was, and that's so true as well. My sister Sharon said only 2 things about my mom. very profound and very true, and I had to really think about it a long time. It made me emotional. My mom was both positive and encouraging. What a positive force. She encouraged, and she was positive. She didn't get mad very often. Some of the things that I recall, I'm going to share some things that happened just last year. On December 30th, 2018, my mom was having one of those days, a time of clarity. I had my mom back. She was thinking clearly, and I could tell by the facts she was quoting. And so I took advantage of it. And while I was taking advantage of it, she said to my wife, Cheryl, tell me, how can someone as good looking as me make something as ugly as him? And she pointed at me. So I got down on my knees. I looked into my mother's eyes, and I said, Mom, when you look at me, what do you see? So this was on the heels of her comment. She says, well, I see a beautiful young man with blue eyes. That's balding. And it's so on that same day, with this moment of clarity, I said, Mom, who do you love more? Because my sister Cheryl was there. Who do you love more, Cheryl or me? She goes, I don't love either of you. I love Freckles, my dog. Then she said, Dave, why do you ask me such questions? She goes, you know I love you. And I love you. So that was touching. So now I want to go back to a few things my wife said. When I go back to family members. My wife, Cheryl, really communicated to me what a soft, wonderful spirit my mother had. But on the humorous side, I hadn't thought about this. My mom taught my wife how to properly burp Tupperware. Cheryl also told me that my wife taught her how to camp, which is a tall order for my wife. But on a special side, my wife had pancreatitis for months. My mom nourished my wife back to health. She did. She took her to the doctor's appointment. She was there. She was present. Remarkable. And then my wife pointed out the practical. She remembers a time where she came over to our house and my mom was re-screening her own back door. She just got things done. But most of all, she remembered her quiet, special spirit. But she did say, toward the end, this is true, she got sassy with a sense of humor. Very sassy. And like, bring it on. It was my love language. I like a sassy sense of humor. My friend Jeff, who's here, he knows that because he's often the victim of my sassy sense of humor, but I get it right back from him. Just a few more stories. My son Ryan brought this up. I try not to find out what everyone else is going to talk about, and if there's a little overlap, I think it's a good thing. But he talked about the business acumen that my mother had, and I'm not sure how true this is, but I know it's fairly accurate, if not very accurate. Out of 700 Tupperware managers, my mom for a period of time was number one. She had tremendous business sense, and I used to help her after her parties. So going back to December 30th, 2018, that day of clarity, where I was taking advantage of it, my mom noticed my brother-in-law, Craig, outside trimming flowers. And out of nowhere, my mother says, David, you know what? I'm going to call Craig in here, and I want him to drop his britches, and I'm going to spank him. Yeah, and I said, Mom, why would you do that? And she had things a little twisted, but you can see where her business acumen came from. She says, well, I want to drop his britches and spank him to let him know what a wonderful guy he is. I thought, oh my goodness. I said, Mom, why would you do that? She looked at me and she says, well, David, and I liked how she called me David. She said, what would you do? And I said, well, I would go outside and I'd put my arm around Craig and say, Craig, you're a really great guy. You're a really wonderful person that she is. My mom looked at me and she said, well, David, how long will you remember that? in business, she did what was best for others. She didn't think about herself, but she created memories, long-lasting memories. So, just a few more things. In June of 2018, I asked my mom, it was another day of partial clarity in her mind. I said, Mom, 1973, you probably don't remember it, but I was playing freshman basketball, and during the season, I had to be at school at 6:30 for practice because the varsity team used the gym in the afternoon. I said, you got up every morning at 5:30 to make breakfast for me. Why did you do that? She said, it was my job. Yeah. She found joy and fulfillment in doing the mundane and doing her job. And I think about the challenges we sometimes face. And she was so joy-filled because she served others. She had a sense of humor. She did her job. So June 30th this year, she has a massive stroke. And some miraculous things happened in the days to follow. They brought her home, and on July 2nd this year, something amazing happened to me. Same thing happened on July 3rd. I knelt down by her and was all by myself, and although I can't sing very well as well, I started to sing Blessed Assurance the first day. The second day was another Christian song, and she did the exact same thing both times. She was unconscious, but we believe she could hear us. And when I started singing Blessed Assurance, she put her hand in. So coming from a family focused on sports, what did I do? I gave her a high five. No, I did not. I broke down, not because I was sad, I broke down because I was so thankful to have this godly woman. And she did the same thing the next day. She put her hand up. And when thinking about my mom, I think about my dad as well, how godly they were. And my brother-in-law, Bob Costello, told my brother recently something that reminded him of my mom, and that's about Joe Montana, one of the best quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks for the 49ers. He was larger than life. He was like my dad. But on the bench, while Montana was the show, there was this guy named Steve Young. That was my mom. Steve Young was just as good, maybe better, arguably. And I love that analogy that Bob gave my brother, because my mom didn't have to be front and center. And she was just as talented when it came to ministry. She really was. And here's what she wants you to think about today as I end with a little bit of scripture here. She wants you to think about Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. The Apostle Paul wrote, set your heart on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above and not on earthly things. My mom would not want you to think about heaven only on the day of her memorial. She would want you to aggressively think about heaven daily. Because if you think about heaven daily, you're going to be more joy-filled. Yes, you are. You'll be less anxious. She would want you to think about that. We've heard about the Proverbs 31 woman today. Really, it's the Proverbs 31 woman, wife, mother. It's a lot of things. And I am going to share my own view on Proverbs 31 since I read it every business day. There's 31 chapters. If it's the 10th, I read Proverbs 10. If it's the 31st, I read Proverbs 31. And I read out of the Living Bible translation. And I'm going to share with you my favorite verses that apply to my mother as a wife and as a mother and really as a friend. And King Solomon wrote Proverbs, and he arguably was the wisest man that ever walked this earth. And clearly, when I read Proverbs 31 now, I have a different paradigm. I look at it differently. So the top verses out of it from the Living Translation, if a man can truly find a great wife, she is more valuable than precious gems. Oh, she was. Oh, she was. Her husband can trust her, and he will richly satisfy her needs. Yeah. He will not hinder her, right? And she will richly satisfy his needs and help him in whatever he does. And I love this next verse. She wakes up before dawn, prepares breakfast for her household, and lays out the plans for the day. She did. She got up for breakfast. She got up before dawn. It was amazing what she did. She is energetic. And the next one, I know my sister Cheryl will laugh at this. She is energetic, and she watches for bargains. My mom was frugal. She was the coupon woman. She really was. When she speaks, her words are wise. And kindness is the rule in everything she says. She watches carefully everything that goes on in her household. Oh, she did. You You would not get away with much around my mother. She watched carefully everything that went on. She is not lazy. And I really like this next verse. Her children stand and bless her. Yes, we do. And then the last verse I want to share with you is Proverbs 31:29. And I think this is from the perspective of the 4 children, the 11 grandchildren, and the 17 great-grandchildren, and perhaps even 2 great-grandchildren. I think they know enough about my grandmother to say this is true. There are many fine women in this world, but Mom, you are the best of them all. And July 4th, when we see fireworks, we're going to think about all these things. How Mom believed in us, how she served us. It's amazing. And I would leave you with this challenging thought. I think about the miracle of a baby in the womb. I think of the umbilical cord and how the baby's fed through that, how oxygen comes through. That's a miracle. Is it any less or greater of a miracle with what we experienced at Mom's bedside? When she took that last breath, when she inhaled, and that was it, because when that baby goes from the umbilical cord to that first breath and we hear the crying, what makes us think that's any greater of a miracle than my mom? I believe she just transitioned right into heaven, to be absent from the bodies, to be present from the Lord. I don't know what breathing's like in heaven, but it felt that way. And the other miracle that occurred, and I don't know if it was my mind, adrenaline, or the Holy Spirit, but I watched that last breath and I saw my mom as a 30 to 35-year-old. I just did. So my very last words again are going to be Proverbs 31:29. I really want this to sink in and to really honor my mother. But it's the key to happiness and fulfillment. There are many fine women in this world, Mom, but you are best.
I don't think I can add anything to what was said. I'm going to give it a shot. So back in 2000, there was a book written called Bowling Alone. Everybody read that? It's a book that talks about the places of significance in our life: first place, second place, third place. And I thought it would make a good outline or analogy to think about Marilyn's life and its interaction with many of you. So the first place that the author talks about is, anybody want to guess what the first place would be? Home. It's that place where we lay our heads, it's the place where we live the majority of our lives, a place where we have experience with those probably closest to us, our family members. And for Marilyn and for Jerry, I remember Jerry and I spent a lot of time driving here and there, to and fro, a lot of lunches together. Oh my God. 22 years, at least one lunch a week. And we drove everywhere, in a lot of dumpy places and good places and all. But I remember we would be driving up on Glendora Avenue, just north of the railroad tracks, and near the post office. Everybody know where that is? We see it around. And Jerry would point out a place on the right. I'm never sure which building it was, but he would say that's where Marilyn and I lived for our early years of marriage. He'd always talk about how there was apparently a butcher shop, I guess, next to where the post office is. And he said they get pork chops there for Friday nights, and that was their Friday night dinner. Right? Am I getting that right? Ryan, you said somebody's going to say something untrue. I might do that, but not. So I'm pretty sure that's what he said. But really, I think the home place is the house on Ghent in Azusa. A story that I heard again, I think it's true, where the guys, Gary, Dave, made some other friends. I don't know if the girls were involved, but you had a above ground pool, and you guys started swimming or whatever, and got the current going. Am I right on this? And you finally got up to the point where the pool burst and water went out. Is that right? Yeah. I don't know if your mom celebrated that or not, but another family memory of the house. And another one experience for me personally is I remember after I had shortly come to the churches back in '92, so this might have been Christmas of '93 or '94, but I was invited over to the house there on Ghent for one of your Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve dinners, and it was pure chaos. The number of people there, but amidst the chaos and the craziness, there was that sense of love and welcomeness and family there at that house. And I know that Marilyn loved that. And then the other memory is it seems that whenever I would go by the house, why did it always look like Marilyn, before she answered the door, had just vacuumed all the carpets, put the vacuum there, always perfect on the carpets. I don't know how, but she did it. And she loved that home and there were people who were in that. Now for Marilyn, I think David alluded to this, that the second place in our lives is our workplace, where we go to make a living, earn a living, provide resources for the first place to take place. And Marilyn's first place was also her second place. Her second place was her first place in that she was domestic engineer, keeping the home fires burning, taking care of everything at home, the kids and all that went with that. She was in charge of that. And that was a nice touch for her because she loved that. It was her honor to do that. Jared would go off to work. Marilyn would be at home. And Cheryl had already said this, I'm not going to repeat it because she sent me this in text or an email. We always knew that we were loved and unconditionally, whether we deserved it or not. I'm assuming that's meaning good and bad, reward and punishment. You knew what you were going to get. Mom had a very gentle spirit. She meant what she said and she followed through. So she was consistent, a great quality of a parent. Mom was always thankful and told me many times how grateful she was for her family. So that second place was an amazing place to learn. And not that she didn't love the first and second place, but I think it's the third place that probably most of us on the outside of the family would see the most. And the third place is the place where our social life happens. Our relationships beyond the household. And so if you think about Marilyn's life, again, she shined in that. Think about, the TV show Cheers. Remember Norm would come in, and they always said, it's a place where you can feel at home, as everybody knows your name. You all want to know their names. And so the places I can think of where Marilyn shined in terms of her third place was her church, whether that was Salina Evangelical Free Church or Arrow Highway Wesleyan or churches before that. It was her Sunday school class at the Covina Church. It was her Lamplighters group at Arrow Highway, which I've heard many things about, but never really saw a gathering of these lamplighters. So they were there, but I never saw them. Saw some of them I knew. It was ball games with the kids and grandkids. They would always be going to the games, as many as they could pull off. It was those Christmas Eve dinners. It was eating out together with family and friends. In fact, I was thinking of one of the restaurants that they would enjoy, that we've been there with them before, is that Carmen's Mexican restaurant in Azusa that had one of the, I'm trying to think of the most appropriate words. Annoyed waitresses. Never met anybody like that. Very unhappy, I think, but hopefully she's happier now that she's retired. They were closed a few years ago. Great place. Camping trips, and we shared many camping trips with the Gundersons and the Gunderson clan, along with others, and she just seemed to relish in those trips. Sitting, relaxing, walking, talking, all those kinds of camping, and then, of course, the cruises. The many cruises they thoroughly enjoyed, again, with family and friends. And so wherever she went and whoever she was with, Marilyn enjoyed being with people. That was her thing. She loved family, loved friends. She was not only a joy to be around, but she made you feel happy to be with her as well. So that's the author's three places. But I'm going to add one, maybe one and a half, two more, depending on how you want to cut the pie. But the fourth place I would think of, and that is where is our body going to be placed and put when we pass away? See, the scriptures tell us that God created us, body and soul, spiritual and material. And so, because of sin and brokenness in this world, there comes death and the deterioration and the falling apart of the body. And I know the family has mourned, and is relieved of the fact that Marilyn's free of all that nonsense. But when we die, the spirit doesn't die, the soul doesn't pass away, but the body is put somewhere. It's broken, it's falling apart, it's deteriorating. And there is that place where at least we can know they are there. Jerry and Marilyn are at Oakdale in Glendora. There's Forest Lawn, there's Rose Hills. In fact, I was even thinking about the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is our country's attempt to create a place for those in the military who could not find, locate enough of the mortar coil to collect in their own sites, so they have that stuff there. But there's a place, and it's good to have a place where we know where to find family. But there's more than just a fourth place. I think there's a fifth place that we would ask, and that is where does our soul, and eventually the resurrected body that joins body and soul back together, where does that soul spend eternity? And you've had many allusions to it today through what everybody has said as far as Marilyn's faith in Jesus Christ. Paul describes the scenario like this. He says, we know that while we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord, for we walk by faith and not by sight. Yes, we are of good courage, and we would rather be away from the body and at home with the Lord. That's Marilyn's words in her last days. We're here with the body, but we know where our home really is. And when this body is weighing us down, holding us down, she was waiting to be free and restored by returning to be with the Lord and with her loved ones and, of course, her husband Jerry. And so while bodies are left behind for those who follow Christ, the soul goes to be with the Lord. That's where Marilyn is now. No more pain, no more struggles, no more crises, no more mental frustrations. That has all been set right. And that gives us peace to know that she's well taken care of, but it also gives us hope that we can also look to follow in those same ways. But then there's that something else. Apostle Paul talks about it in 1 Thessalonians chapter 3. He says, for we declare to you by a word from the Lord that we who are alive, we who are left until the coming of the Lord, will not precede those who have fallen asleep. In other words, those who have passed away in the faith before us, they actually have a point of advantage. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command and the voice of an archangel, and with the sound of the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive, who are left, will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we will always be with the Lord. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. So there is this separation of body and soul for this season, for this age. But the soul is kept secure with the Lord. Then there will be this day when there will be that grand resurrection where body and soul and completed bodies, perfected bodies will be reunited to meet the Lord in the air and join him on his for the eternal state. So Marilyn's fifth and final place is an extension, a transition, a completion, a perfection of her fourth place. No more pain, no more tears, no more deterioration, no more memory loss, no more frustration. And as Kim said it earlier, that not because she was a good person, a good mom, a good Christian, a good church member, a good wife, a good this, a good that, a good friend, but she was. But it's because God has sent his son Jesus to die for our sins, to pay the price for our iniquities, and so through faith in him, we can have peace, we can have the gift of eternal life. And so Jesus now says to Marilyn, come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. And as Paul said, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord, Jesus Christ. Amen. So now I think we are going to share in a video to review and celebrate the life of Marilyn.
my favorite place to go. You're at the end of my favorite road. Above the rest, you're the best I know. You are my favorite shade of rose, a flower bed on my favorite stones. I love the ground where your roots have grown. You're my favorite place. You are my favorite kind of glow. You radiate my favorite tone. You shed a light that guides me home to my favorite place. You are my favorite place to go.
Boy, is everybody having fun or what?
Faithful.
It helps them to walk in the way that you would want them to walk. In your name, amen.
Spiritual.
If I sing but don't have love, I waste my breath.
Loyal.
Every song I bring, an empty voice, a hollow noise.
Godly.
If I
Do you have anything to say about all your grandkids getting baptized today?
I think it's great.
don't have love, I leave
Grateful.
a bitter taste with every word I say. So let my life be the proof of your love. Let my love look like you and what you're made of. How you lived, how you died, love is sacrifice. So let my life be the proof of your
Mischievous.
Gator, they'll get in trouble all the time.
I'm not going to answer that.
At women's retreat, she stole Dale Hall's towel and made her streak through the hall back to her room naked.
You're
Hungry.
Hilarious. My face. I'm a nut. I'm a nut.
Prankster. Freckles? He's got a girlfriend.
He's got a girlfriend. Oh my gosh.
She's got beautiful brown hair with green feet.
Oh, with green feet.
Quirky.
Fun loving.
President.
Attentive.
If I speak with human eloquence and angelic ecstasy, but don't love, I'm nothing but the creaking of a rusty gate.
Your grandma's boy.
If I speak God's word with power, revealing all of his mysteries and making everything as plain as day, and if I have faith to say to a mountain, jump, and it jumps, but I don't love, I'm nothing. If I give all I own to the poor, or even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've gotten nowhere. So, no matter what I say, no matter what I believe, no matter what I do,
I'm bankrupt without love.
Let my life be the proof of your love. Let my love look like you and what you made of. How you lived, how you died, love is sacrifice. So
Matriarch. Gentle.
Virtuous.
Inviting. Pragmatic.
Generous.
Surprising.
Nurturing. Sweetheart. Lovable. Patient. Sweet.
Diligent.
Sunny. Charming. Memorable.
Welcoming.
Compassionate.
Kind.
Servant.
Reunited.